Welcome to week 2 of learning from home at Trinity Online, learning at home or learning at school. This week in maths, we are going to be talking about linear relationships. So our lesson today is going to focus on introducing you to the key concepts and going back over and consolidating some of those skills you did last year in year 8 around these ideas. So let's get started. Your big key ideas and some vocab for today. Really important that you remember that coordinate geometry means making graphs. So when we talk about coordinates and coordinate geometry, we're talking about the x coordinate, which lays flat like a starfish, and the y coordinate, where they're their hands in the air like a Y shape. So 1, 0 means 1 x coordinate and 0 on the y axis. So this point here is 1, 0. The Cartesian plane, or the number plane, is this set of axes here. We're talking about a graph when we talk about a Cartesian plane, and it's divided into 4 quadrants. 1, 2, 3, 4. So our first quadrant contains only positive numbers in both the x and the y direction. Our second quadrant contains all the negative x values, but all the positive y's. Our third quadrant contains all the negative values, and the fourth quadrant contains only positive x values and negative y values. A linear relation is a set of ordered pairs that when graphed gives us a straight line. So if I give you 4 or 5 numbers and they're all in a straight line, you can join them with a straight line, we have a linear relationship. We also have what's known as the x-intercept and the y-intercept. The x-intercept is what happens when this line crosses the x-axis and where that happens. So where y is 0. And the y-intercept is where x is 0. So where it crosses this y-axis here. So our y-intercept would be, in this case, 4. And our x-intercept would be at 2. Okay, I'm going to switch my screen around now so you can just watch me and not have to look at my face anymore. Okay, so the other thing you need to make sure that we remember is this standard formula, y equals mx plus c, which tells us the formula for a straight line graph. So our y represents the y coordinate, the x represents the x coordinate, the m represents the gradient or slope of the line, and c represents where it crosses that y-axis, the y-intercept. There's a few skills for us to remember from last year. So let's start off with a pattern and we'll go through the stages together. So we have a pattern here. We would call this term number 1, term number 2, term number 3. We can represent this pattern in a visual form like this that's been given. This is our visual form. Or we can take it and turn it into a table or a coordinate form. And it's easy to do. We take term number, which is this one, our first term, and we have a look at, we let x represent the term number and y represent the number of squares that will go into making that pattern. So if we have a look, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares in term number 1. We've still got the original 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but we've added 6, 7, 8, and 9. So we've got 9. Why is it not writing? 9. Our next one, we've got our original 9 again, and we've added 4 more. So it'd be 10, 11, 12, 13. We haven't drawn the 4th one or the 5th one, but we should be able to predict how many squares are in them just by looking at the pattern. What's happening here? Between the first one and the second one, we added 4. Between the second and the third, we added 4 more. So we do the same to figure out our 4th term. So it'd be 13 plus 4, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And then we'd add 4 more. Oops, that looks like 44, not add 4. Add 4 more to 17 to get 21. We can represent each of these terms as coordinates. This would be 1, 5. The second one would be 2, 9. The third one would be 3, 13. And we can graph those points on axes. So we can graph these on axes, and I've just gotten myself a bigger axis because these ones take up a bit of space. So I would go 1, 5. So I'd go across 1 and up 5 and put a dot. I'd go across 2 and up 9 and put a dot. Across 3 and up 13 and put a dot. And we can see that it's making a nice straight line. This line would go through like this. I'm just going to move it slightly over. So this would be our line for that graph. So now we've got the coordinate form. We've got the graphical form. What we need is our equation form. So we need to put it into this y equals mx plus c format. So we're going to keep the y and we're going to keep the x so that we can substitute our known values in. We're going to find our numbers for our gradient and our y-intercept. So our gradient is found by looking at what we're changing each time as it goes up. So in this case, we're adding 4. So the number in here for m is positive 4. And our y-intercept is found by having a look at what we have to do to this number each time. So if I'm going to take our x and I'm going to multiply it by 4, I need to do something to then get 5. So 4 times 1 gives me 4. I'd have to add 1 to get 5. If I test that on my next one, on 2, if I go 2 times 4, 4 times 2 gives me 8, plus 1 more gives me 9. It works. If I go, I can jump to the last one and see if it still works. The pattern should work the whole way through. 5 times 4 would give me 20, plus 1 gives me 21. So my equation form works. So my equation here would be y equals 4x plus 1 to represent this line here. And if we have a look, where it crosses the y-intercept was at 1. So that's my y-intercept is 1, and my gradient should be 4. So it goes up 4 for every one it goes across. Okay, now it's your turn to go and do some revision activities. Do some from your Cambridge textbook. You can get to it through emac.hotmaths.com, or it's available on my Unity as PDF document. I'm also emailing it out to all of you because I know some of you are really struggling with your internet at home, but your emails seem to be working just fine. It's on page 217, chapter 4A. I forgot to write that in there. Chapter 4A. If you're going to choose your differentiation, you're going to choose your 3 different differentiation levels. If you choose the support questions, remember these don't get you up to the high CB level. These give you more structure and more support. They're not there to get you a really good grade. So choose wisely. The support questions are questions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If you're choosing those ones, you're going to want to log on and have a look at our support video, which will take you through how to do those. Standard. Questions 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. There's quite a lot of those. I want you to just do every second one if it has multiple. So if it's got an A, B, C, D, E, just do A, C, E, skip them. I just want you to get some practice at it. I don't want you to be bored out of your mind. And the advanced, I want you to do 7, 8, 9, 10, skip 11, do 12 and 13. If they have multiples in them, again, if they're not related to each other, so you don't need to do A, B, and C to do the question. Just choose A and C, and then E, skip the mid ones. There's also a challenge question there. Question 14 gets pretty hard. Give it a go. Let's see how you go. Don't forget to mark your work using the answers in your textbook. I've also posted them to my Unity and I've emailed them out to you if you're having troubles. Mark your work and upload your bookwork to due work on our MyUnity page for the week. When you're finished that, you go to Education Perfect, and I have set you some Education Perfect revision activities for the week. See you soon. I will see you on Teams this week. Bye-bye.